Well, so it's a continuation of yesterday's class about ID administration. So in the yesterday class, we have discussed about the basics of AD administration, means basics of AD utilities. What are these AD utilities? What are the different AD utilities are there? What are the different types of AD utilities are there? Like command and GUI based. Okay, what are the different AD utilities are there? Like AD admin, AD controller, AD splice, AD so for patching. So in the GUI side, license manager, auto config, context editor, something like we have discussed about those. So today we are going to discuss about how do we execute AD utilities, what are the different options are available, from where we could be executing these utilities. By any chance, if it goes wrong, from where we need to start our troubleshooting in the sense, where do we get the log file and all right. And when you are executing parallelly, and you are executing the jobs parallelly, so how do you monitor those jobs and how they are going, how they are approaching and yesterday we discussed about a concept called worker. So how do we maintain the worker? So that part and all we'll be seeing, and in parallel, I will show you I will show you in this in practice. I'll show you, I'll execute and show you how it will be going. Okay. See, command line augment example, something like, if you see AD admin log file equal to test.log. Okay, sometimes AD admin print debug equal to y flags hide pwd, AD admin flags no hide pwd trace. Okay, AD admin log file equal to so and so. It's a case sensitive. This is saying invalid. So log file flags equal to the space and all. So this and all you need to be careful. And this is a case sensitive. These options you need to use as per your requirement basically. Okay. So as far I see, most of the times you would be executing AD admin alone. You won't be. What are the parameters you would be providing? At the time of execution, those are the parameters. Normally, we don't use. As a regular practice, we won't be using any these parameters. Okay, so unless Oracle support, okay, any of the action plan demands you to use that particular option, you would be using. Otherwise, by yourself, you won't be using these options. Okay. So I'll show you, what are the parameters it would be asking at the time of execution, and those are the parameters, are standard parameters, and whenever you execute AD utilities, as a regular practice, those parameters only you would be providing. Okay. So the parallel is something like a print debug equal to y. Okay, so it will generate debugging information. You don't need to print the debug each and every time. When you come across any error, the log file contains insufficient information. If you want more and more information about that particular activity, then we will enable the trace. We will run the. We will give the print debug equal to y, something like that. So that time in the log file, it will generate more information about the error. So very rare cases would be executing this unless suppose you have come across, you are executing one of the AD utility, you have come across an issue. Okay, so you raised a service request. Usually that is the only we got an option. If you are able to fix it, fix it. Otherwise, you need to take Oracle support. Okay, so here something like Oracle DBA, usually as a core DBA, when I was in core DBA, I have a regular practice like I'll be moving into the Google and any of the blog. I'll be seeing, on the suggestions, I'll be looking into the suggestion. I will do the trial and error basis and I'll fix the issue. Okay, so here in e-business suite, that attitude would not work. So we have to go in a different way. So even if you find any of the solution that need to be tested in the non-production instance and that need to be after executing that particular action plan, that functionality need to be tested. Once it is done, once it is done, then only you will be deciding whether to go with the next environment or not. Okay, so if you got any doubt, again you need to raise a service request and you need to get the confirmation from the Oracle people, and then you will be going with it. Okay, so there is a challenge here. So not, Oracle response is very slow. Okay, so most of the times, unless you create a priority service request, but still we have to follow up. There is no other chance. Okay, so suppose you raised a service request and you uploaded the log file. Okay, so when I'm executing the so and so AD utility, I come across the so and so issue, and this is the log file. So when Oracle review the log file, and if they are not able to fix that issue, they will be asking you more information. So for that, the action plan also they would be giving you. Okay, so they will say, okay, enable trace with this particular option. Okay, so I mean, enable debug information with this particular option. So you execute, they'll give the command, you execute this so and so place, you will be getting the log file. You upload that log file as well. Like that, they will be updating you. Okay, so that's how, I mean, we database administrator, we have only option, we have to work with the Oracle people. Okay, it's a huge, I mean, unlike the database, I mean, that much freely we can't work here. Okay, that keep it in your mind, and there will be some process for each and every environment, and you need to understand and observe that process when you join into any of the environment. Okay, so these are the options available, and what are the other options are available in detail. This is just example. In the next slide, and I'll, what are the different options available, why those options are there, and which scenario you would be using those options, and then we will be discussing. All right, let's see help. This is applicable to any of the AD utility. You can say AD admin help equal to Y, enter. So it would be giving you the information about your AD admin. Okay, so if you say AD patch or AD OP, okay, help equal to Y, it will be giving the information about the minimum information you would be getting at least. Okay, so I mean, suppose somebody asks you to execute, okay, execute AD splice, and you never heard of AD splice utility. Okay, so if you want to know minimum information, what exactly it is to troubleshoot, I mean to dig the more information, simply you can say AD splice help equal to Y and enter, and say automatically it will be giving some of the information about, and it will give the syntax, and it will give the the description of that particular utility, some information it will be providing to you. Okay. Next, log file. So AD controller log file equal to test.log. So if you give like this, there is a parameter, separate parameter. When you say ADCTRL enter, okay, it will be asking, is this your right apple top or not? Yeah, Ashik. Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I'm just coming back to the previous screens. I thought you have sharing. Silly. Right. See, this is how we would be giving, okay, command line arguments would be giving like this. So AD admin log file equal to so on. So AD admin print debug equal to so on. So multiple commands also, multiple options also you can give. Print debug equal to Y, flag equal to, I mean, hide PWD, or flag equal to hide PWD, something like this you can give. Okay, so you shouldn't give like this. The log file, it should be lower case. It's a case sensitive basically, and there's something like the space in between, I mean, after the comma, space and all you shouldn't give. Okay. So here I'm talking about, okay, what are the parameters we can provide, and what are the importance of those parameters, and what particular scenario would be using these parameters we are going to discuss now. Okay. So here if you see, is one of the option is help. So when you say AD admin help equal to Y, it will be giving you some information about your utility. Okay. So um, not in detail information, and right, when you go to the help, minimum information they would be giving. Okay, we'll execute, and I'll show you. Let me log into the server. The font is visible for you guys, isn't it? Or do you want me to increase the font size? Yeah, fine. So let's say AD admin. So just, I mean, as I said yesterday, we need to make sure whether this is in a system path or not. Okay, so let's say which AD it is there. Okay, so let's say there is a utility called AD config, AD which AD data sheet. No, oh, it is there. Okay, what is not there? AD preclone.pl, yes. Which AD preclone.pl? This is also kept. Okay, in data sheet. Oh, good man. I mean, in 12.1, no, they have not kept preclone.pl and config data set. We need to go to that particular location and execute, right? So most of the utilities they fixed it here. So let's say AD admin help equal to y, like this. Like this, you would be seeing. Okay. So much of information. So much of information you would be getting. Okay, what is this? How do you use? Okay, what is this area? Infinity, but whatever non-interactive mode. So much of information it would be giving. Okay, not only for AD admin, you can give it for training. So, what's ADOP help equal to y. MATLAB. Okay, so here is a link data set equal to y. Right. See. All right. Next log file. Okay, so AD controller log file equal to so and so. Usually, if you don't give this, doesn't matter because if you don't give this, it will be asking you log file and file name. Okay, so here you should not give the path of the log file. The specific path is already defined for AD utility. So just you need to give the log file name. So that with that file name, it would be creating. I'll be showing you, and I'll be taking you to the particular location and show you the log file once I execute here. All right. So two ways here, this particular thing you would be executing when you are trying to execute in non-interactive mode. Okay, so if it is an interactive mode, basically it will be asking is your right Apple top or not, is your right Oracle home or not, your app's password, your system password, your log file, and the number of workers. It will be asking. Okay, so if you are executing in a non-interactive mode, these are the parameters and all you need to put it in the file. That file will call as a adddefault.txt. So we'll be giving addadmin default file equal to adddefault.txt. If you say enter, so what all the information is there in that particular file, that would be asking. And apart from that, if any more information is there, it would be asking separately. All right. So here, in that case, if you don't specify log file equal to so and so in default.txt, you need to provide this way. Okay, AD controller log file equal to so and so. Just with that particular file name, that location, the file will be created. Okay. So if you don't give this, it will be asking, a prompt will be coming. Okay, log file name. You just need to give the file name. So there are two things here. You can execute AD utility interactive mode and non-interactive mode. Always we prefer interactive mode, and non-interactive mode there is an option you need to know. That's all. Okay, so mostly you would be executing in interactive mode only. So if you want to execute in non-interactive mode by any chance, there is a file, as I said, there is a file called defaults.txt. Okay, so that file, okay, that the format you can copy it to some my.txt, also cp default.txt to my.txt, because that's the template, and if you want to use it for one particular, but not to disturb that particular file, it's a standard template, and the template always need to be safe. Okay, so what we all, when I really need to execute my AD utility in interactive non-interactive mode, so I'd be taking the default.txt file as another copy, like my default.txt, something like that, and I will be providing that. All you need is a file name is not a matter for AD utility. Just the content of the file, the format of the file is only matter for. Okay, so we will be saying default.txt equal to my default.txt. It will just whatever information is there in the default.txt would be reading by AD utility, and it will continue. Okay, that's a non-interactive mode. Interactive mode is anyway it will be asking, it will be prompting you, and it will be providing you the information on that. Okay, so by default it is interactive mode. If you don't give anything, simply say AD admin enter, automatically it will be taking interactive mode as a default parameter and continue. Okay, defaults file. That's what I'm talking. It will be there in the Apple Top admin SID location. Okay, so I can show you that. All default AD all default.txt. Okay, so if you say this, you will see the parameters you need to pass. Okay, so here some task equal to yes is the value. So this is the variable, this is the value. Okay, this is the variable, this is the value. So like this. It's a big file, and whatever requirement, I mean, it depends on your requirement. You would be providing. This is the right Apple Top thing. This is the Apple Top for you. Okay. So something like just make a copy of this information. Till this is good enough. Okay. So here you would be providing this file as a parameter, like AD controller default file equal to the file name proddef.txt, as is named as a proddef.txt. Just took the copy to proddef.txt, and you can put that one as a parameter. So it would be taking, okay, out of the inputs are required for any of the AD utility, and that unit will be calling out. You need to edit that file accordingly. Okay, as per your requirement, you need to edit the file. That edited file, if you give it, it will take it and continue. Okay, again, I'm saying it's just for your information. Okay, so you won't be executing in a non-interactive mode anytime unless Oracle particularly insists you to execute like that. All right. So next is workers. Okay, number of workers, it is mandatory anyway, and you can give here, or if you don't give here, automatically it would be prompting you and how many workers and that. Okay. So the benefit of prompting is, when it prompts in brackets, it will suggest you the number of workers. Okay, it depends on your operating system. So it will analyze basically. It will analyze and it will let you know, okay, 2 to 10 workers, or 10 to 20 workers, 30 to 40 workers, something like that. It will analyze and it will give one suggestion. Okay, so based on the suggestion, you need to do. Okay, so if you don't need that suggestion, okay, you are already executed many times here. So simply you can say AD admin worker equal to 6. When you say this, it won't be prompting there. It will take this one as a parameter. Okay, and it will prompt you once again, and it will continue with the 6 workers. And in the log file, you would be seeing 6 log files. AD worker 001 dot log, AD worker 002 dot log, AD worker 003 dot log, 4 dot log, 5 dot log, 6 dot log, something like that. If you give 30 workers, it would create 30 log files. For each and every worker, there would be one log file. Why? Because whenever it goes any error, like worker 1 is executing one form and worker 1 got failed. So you don't need to review the entire AD administration file. Simply, if you go to the AD worker 001.log, there you would be finding what exactly the issue. It's a easy way of troubleshooting. Okay, so that is the reason, Oracle is creating log file for each and every worker separately. All right. So to maintain these workers, yes, to maintain these workers, there is an utility again that now we will be discussing later. Okay, that's called AD controller, where you would be maintaining the worker. Like you can monitor what exactly I mean, how many number of workers are there, and what worker is doing what. Okay, I mean, sorry, which worker is doing what. Okay, and the status of the worker, it is a running status or pending status or failed status, the status of the worker. Okay, and if you want to restart the worker, that option, restarting the worker option, ignoring the worker option, exiting the worker option. So something like, there are many features are there in that utility. Would be looking into that. All right. So this one behavior is there with the AD utility, that is, suppose 7 workers are there and worker 1 failed. Okay, so in that point of time, all workers will get stopped. Okay, so this worker 1 failed status will be will be intimating to the other workers also, and the whole process will struck like that. Okay, you may think like, suppose seven workers are doing seven forms, it is regenerating. Okay, the faulty form with the worker one and it got failed. So second form, third form, fourth form, all are fine. Okay, but still it won't continue. It will be waiting till this particular worker fix or do something. All right, see, this worker concept is basically, it will think like, there is a dependency on each and every worker. So let's say there is one example in the database side. Worker one is connecting to database. Worker two is creating a table. Worker three is inserting the data. Worker four is creating the index. That's what has this defined. The activity had defined. By any chance, worker one failed. What is the point in continuing worker two without connecting to the database where you would be creating the table? All right, okay. Worker one succeeded. Worker two got failed. You are not able to create the database. Okay, sorry, table. So worker three, even worker three continues. What is the use? Without table, where he will execute. Worker four, where he will create the. Where he will create the index. Okay, there's the internal dependency is there, right? So these workers always think like that. There is an internal dependency. So if any of the worker failed, that signal will be passed to the each and every worker, and the whole process will get stuck. So you have to do something to that worker, failed worker. So when the process is struck, okay, halt, again you need to go to the AD controller. You need to monitor, okay, which worker got failed, and the worker number you would be taking from the AD controller utility, and you would be going to that log file, the related log file. Okay, if worker one fails, AD worker 001 dot log. Worker two fails, AD worker 002 dot log. Something like that. You would be opening that particular file. You will be identifying what is the issue. You will fix that issue, and you will come back to the AD controller and say restart the worker. That point of time, he will try to restart. Somebody activity going on e-business suit, right? What worker? What is worker? Yes, yes. So worker is nothing but who will take care of the job. See, in the e-business suite, in the AD utilities point of view, every task is a job basically. Every task. Okay, suppose there is one activity which is creating the table and inserting some metadata, and then creating the grants, providing the grants, and then creating some index or something. Okay, this is the activity need to be performed. So here it will be divided into the jobs. Okay, job one connected to the database, job two connected to the create the table, job three, okay, insert the data, job four create provide the grants or something, job something like that. The activities will be defined as a jobs. So these jobs will be taken care by workers. Okay, so every worker, okay, you would be providing number of workers based on your operating system, and all you would decide how many workers need to be assigned. So you would be providing to that particular utility. Okay, for any utility, for any AD utility, if there is a scope of executing the multitasking and all, multiple tasks and all, then it will prompt you the worker, and you would be providing the number of workers. So if you provide four workers, it would be, the four workers will work parallelly. So if you are having four jobs, so four workers each, each job will be assigned to the four workers. And the assigning the jobs and all will be taken care by AD utility. We don't need to assign the jobs. Okay, so AD utility knows how to assign the jobs, and AD utility will be verifying which job completed, which job pending, which job failed, and all. Okay, and accordingly, AD utilities keep on. Okay, first set is four. After four forms has been regenerated, and another four forms will be assigned to these four workers. Another four till completes. Okay, so something like that. AD utility will be working with the worker closely. So this worker basically, his just name itself telling, is a worker who will take care of the job. That's all. And in e-business suite, every task is a job. We call as a job. Okay, so whenever any issue comes up, you have to follow the telling you the sequence, right? So first you need to identify, okay, AD utility got struck. Okay, struck for what it got struck. you may not get the good sufficient information in the screen. So in the other window, you will be initiating the AD controller utility, and you will see there will be one option called show worker status. So when you choose that particular option, it will give number of workers and what exactly it is doing and what is the status of that worker. So it will be identifying number two worker got failed. So you will go to the another window. You would be going to that log location, and here worker two failed, right? Against to worker two, there would be one log file, and you will open the log file. You will identify the issue, and you will fix that issue. And now we fixed the issue, and this need to be retested, right? So for that, in the AD controller itself, there is an option restart the worker. So when you choose that particular option, it will be asking which worker need to be restarted. It will be asking. So you need to remember which worker has been failed and for what worker you have fixed the issue. So let's say it's just two, number two. So you would be giving two as a parameter. So immediately after that, I mean, it will go for it will go with it will go to the second worker. It will try to execute the task once again, and if your fix is correct, it will continue executing. If the fix is wrong, again it will fail. Again, you need to go to the log location. The cycle will go like that. All right. Next, there's an argument called local workers. Okay, so there is a concept called distributed applicant. Okay, so suppose let's say you got a multi-node installation. Okay, node one is for the database, node two is for application, node three is also for application. So when in node one you are executing the AD utility, so it will be analyzing only to it will be analyzing your number of workers on that particular machine only. Okay, so it depends on that particular machine capacity, RAM capacity and all, it would be suggesting. Okay, so in this case, the second machine is there, that is idle. Okay, so you are not sharing, you won't be sharing any burden to the second. Right? So to make use of that particular operating system, also there is a Oracle has come up with the concept called distributed appletop. You can distribute the number of workers basically. Okay, so locally, okay, five workers here, five workers there. So totally 10 workers will be there, and 10 workers will coordinate each other and they will be working. However, we don't, we never use this. Okay, so it's a little tricky, and whenever anything goes wrong, a bit difficult to troubleshoot and all. So that is the reason. Even I never tried of that particular. Okay, so I will be executing on one particular machine, and whatever RAMs these days coming, that RAM is more than enough to execute at least 20 workers. Okay, e-business will go in such a way. E-business servers will be in that way. So at least 20 workers minimum you would be getting. Okay, here in our local machine itself, we will be giving four workers, 4 to 5 workers. So we will be keeping some 3 GB RAM or 3.5, 4 GB RAM under. So 4 GB RAM, normally the double the RAM size it will be. Okay, it's all depends on the number of CPUs. Okay, so if you keep two CPUs, so 2 into 2, 4 workers you can execute. 10 CPUs, 10 into 2, 20 workers you can execute, something like that. Okay, so it's a rough estimation. Usually, that utility itself will be analyzing and it will be updating to you. So in that case, when you are using a distributed appletop, a local worker is so on. So total workers you will say 8, local worker you will say 3. So in that particular machine, 3 workers will be executed. Other 5 workers will be executed on other machine when you use a distributed appletop. All right. So anyway, you won't be using. So abandon. Okay. So here, abandons is the previous failed apply command and starts a new apply command. See, basically, for AD utilities, there is an option called continue from where it got struck. Okay, so suppose you are executing a AD utility, and somehow some window, that window got closed, or somebody rebooted your machine. Something has happened, and unexpectedly that particular window is closed. Okay, so when you open a new window and when you try to execute the AD utility once again, it will be asking like, there is a previous session. Do you want me to continue? Yes or no? So if you say yes, it will continue from the previous session, previous execution. Otherwise, no. Okay. So you are very sure that you don't want to continue. So you need to provide the options like, no parameter, and then are you sure, something like that. It will be asking, and again it will be asking. There will be one table, the table which will work for the AD utility. That table need to be dropped. So these and all it will be asking, inputs and all these will be asking. So if you are very sure that you don't need to continue the previous session, and you can tell this guy, abort equal to y, restart equal to no, enter. Well, it won't be asking again. A fresh session will be created and it will be executed. So the restart option, yes, there is an option called restart. Restart equal to no. Yes, I mean it won't be continued. Normally, by default, restart will be default is no, restart no. Meaning that the utility run a non-interactive mode will expect to run the completion new session. Okay, but usually the restart will be yes basically, and when you I mean when you are executing, I mean I'll show you. I'll just close one. I mean I'll initiate one of the AD utility and I'll close that utility, and I'll open another window. I'll try to execute. It will be asking, "Do you want me to continue?" So how it would be remembering the previous session and which files it will be keeping. I mean, which folder it would be keeping that information, and the database side how it will be keeping. So that and then I'll explain you. Okay, after these slides, I'll be explaining. Right. So in the database side, see. Suppose this guy is executing from continuing from the previous session means somewhere he's remembering, right? And also another point is, the 20 workers you have given and 100 jobs are there. Okay. So how this AD utility will be remembering, okay, this information, how many workers that worker got and how many he has completed, how many is pending, how many is in running, how many is waiting, how many are errored out. Okay, that information and somewhere you need to keep, right? In the database level, there are two tables basically. In those two tables, this information will be copied. Okay. So till that particular that those tables will call as the transparent tables. Whenever you initiate the AD utility, the table will be created, and when you finish your AD utility, the table will be dropped. Okay. So by any chance when you are executing your AD utility, if the table exists in the database, then the previous session is not completed successfully. Right. See, I'm repeating again. Usually, whenever you execute any of the AD utility, okay, there will be one database table called fnd install process table in fnd underscore install underscore process table. Okay, there's the table is a transparent table basically. Whenever you initiate any of the AD utility, the table will be created and the table will be used at the time of execution, and the table will be dropped once the successful execution. It will be dropped when your utility successfully completed, successfully underlined. If not, that AD utility will be dropped. Okay. If I go to the system and see, okay, I mean self start from fn install process table, you would be seeing table does not exist unless someone is executing the other side, someone is executing AD utility somewhere. Usually, you won't be seeing that file because it will be creating at the time of initiating the AD utility, and it will be dropping by AD utility itself once after finishing the AD utility activity. Okay, if it doesn't drop, means that's not completed successfully. Means somewhere it is stuck. Okay, so when you are executing any of the AD utility, it would be looking for fn install process table. If the table exists in the database, then it will throw in, it will say, okay, there is a previous session, do you want me to continue? If none of the, I mean, if this table doesn't exist, yes, it is a fresh move, and it will continue without asking anything. That's how you will remember. And the data application side, yesterday I have already showed you. There is a folder called restart. Okay. So in that restart folder, you would be keeping that information. So some file system you will be keeping in the, I mean, AD utility will be keeping in the restart folder, and some of the, I mean, some other information you will be keeping in the database side. Other information in the sense, nothing, I mean, this workers information and all you would be keeping in fn install process table. So total number of workers information and which worker is doing what, how many total jobs are there, how many have completed, how many delete, I mean how many pending, how many running. So the entire information will be there in the FN install process table. Okay, once you are done with that particular activity, that process itself means the AD admin utility itself, or AD admin or AD patch or whatever, the utility itself will drop that particular table once the work is over. You understood, right? Okay, menu option. When running one of these utility non-interactively, use it to connect the actions in the default file with the specific menu items. Okay, so in a non-interactive mode, the sum of the information if you want to see, okay, so silently it will be executing, and without that, if you want to see the progress, how exactly it is going and all, then you have to use this particular option. So pretty debug, more information, extra debugging information it would be giving. So when you execute any of the AD utility and it is erroring out, and the error information which is there in the log file is not sufficient for you. If you want more information, you can say AD admin print debug equal to Y. It will generate, and it will generate the log hugely. So whenever it is really required, then only you would be using this particular option. Otherwise, the log file will grow like that. It is something like in the database enabling the trace and finding the information and disabling. Now, once you are done with that particular troubleshooting and then disabling the trace, it is something like that. Okay, so wait on a failed job. It's not. I mean, direct the utility wait for the user input in a non-interactive session when a job fails. So usually in interactive session, it would stuck like that. Okay, so in hello, hello, you can you hear me? Yeah, okay, sorry. I mean something like a low signal or something. All right. Okay. So when yeah, fine. So this is I mean when you are using non-interactive mode, then you have to give this utility. By default it will be n. Okay. So I mean again this will be you will be using when you are going for the non-interactive mode. Parallel index threshold. Whenever you are performing any database activity through your AD admin or your AD path means ADOP, whatever. So it will define you the blocks basically. By default, the 1,000 blocks. And if you want, if you feel like normally when Arkell advise you to use some figure, then only you will be using this option. Otherwise, by default, whatever default blocks are there for that particular activity, that's more than enough. Basically. Okay. So 20,000 blocks will be assigned by default, and those blocks will be utilized at the time of executing the database. There are some flags. Okay, so flags equal to hide PWD and all there, and by default, it is a hide PWD is enabled. Basically, you don't need to use this particular option, but it is there. That's all. Okay. Along with the options, you can provide flags also. So AD admin flags equal to hide PWD. The earlier days, this is there from 11.9 itself. In the 11.9, there is a big problem. If you don't give hide PWD, the app's password would be copying into the log file. Okay, so that log file, I mean, by any chance, if anybody see that log file, they can find out what is the app's password and all. And you sometimes you may need to share the log files to the technical people, functional people, or Oracle people. Okay, so at that time again, you need to go to the log file. You need to identify where the app's password is available, and you need to remove that just to make it star 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 x or something like that, and you need to send it to them basically. Okay, so here from 11.5 10 onwards, okay, so hide PWD is enabled, and even if you whatever log password you're providing to that particular utility, that won't be recorded by default. Okay, so another one is the trace. It will be enabling the trace, and it will be providing the more information. Again, this is also for identifying the issue. Okay, logging. This is also hide PWD is fine. Okay, so these are the common features are available, and for data patching and all, again some more options are there. Okay, so that those options we would be seeing at the time of patching, something like you can ignore the database activity, you can ignore the generation activity, you can ignore the copy activity, something like there are so many. Okay, you can ignore the auto config, you can ignore the validate schema, you can ignore the compile schema. So by default, AD patch means the patch will be performing some tasks, and you can ignore those tasks. Okay, so those options and all would be discussing as part of patching. Okay, so basically the AD utility common features or AD feature versions, prompts will be providing, interactive and non-interactive mode is there, okay, parallel processing is there, okay, and log file restart files, manager and worker log file, okay. So version match. AD requires that the files on the file system and the tables. Basically, there are some snapshot tables in the database. Okay, so which contains the file system information and its version. So here in eBusiness Suite, each and every file will have their version. Okay, and and the other day I told you there is one utility where you can find the version of the file in the application. Okay, so AD ident is the utility. Okay, so with the help of that utility, you can find the version, and the same version information will be there in the database as well. All right, so these two things need to be in sync, otherwise you will be getting snapshot bold error. Okay, so don't get confused here. Application side snapshot error, if you get, that is belongs to the file system and it's a version. Okay, database side, if you get the snapshot is too older, it's a problem with undo table space. Okay, just make sure, when you get that error, snapshot error, so whether it is the application side or database side, if it is application side, there is an option again. You can you can sync the file version of operating system and the version of the database side. Okay, there are some tables. AD underscore snapshot, AD underscore snapshot underscore bugs, AD underscore snapshot underscore files from. Okay, some tables are there. I can show you. Okay, so don't go with this practice slash apps if you know it's not a good practice basically. So just if you say like this, it will be asking you after password. So otherwise, if you say SQL plus apps slash apps, and if someone logged by any chance, someone logged into the system and go for the history and all, they may get it. Okay. So select the T name from tab where T name like. This is the place where the tab is the place where you would get all the tab table information. Okay. Hmm. Right. Right. AD underscore snapshot underscore files. Bug fixes. AD underscore snapshot underscore bug fixes. Okay. And AD underscore snapshot and the table. Okay. Let me give you more detail. Snapshot underscore. Oops. No. Yep. Files. Snapshot bug fixes. Okay. So in this table, your file versions and all, and to see that describe. No need to go in this much depth. Is it? File ID, file size, checksum, version ID. Okay. So Apple Top ID, server details. Okay. So the entire information about the file you will be getting here. Okay. In the same time, in the bug fixes side, you would be seeing the number of bug fixes. Bug fixes are nothing but patches here. So the number of patches till today applied to your e-business suite. Okay, you would be getting. So there are some other tables also. So along with that table, this table also will have this information. Okay. So operating system side, if you introduce any of the files, that need to be recorded into this particular table. Okay, so for that is the reason, any regeneration part, these kind of tasks and all, we should go with the AD utility only. So that AD utility, no, once the file has been introduced, immediately this table will be updated with that file name, file version, and the other information. Okay, so when you are performing any of the, and you are introducing any of the custom file, means your own file into the e-business suite, you won't be getting here. Okay, so before checking, what is that particular file, whether it is a custom file or seeded file. Seed file is nothing but the one which you got, means along with the installation or provided by Oracle. Custom file is the file which are coming from files which are coming from technical people. All right. So this version matching handle, whenever you are performing an activity, this version mapping handle will be happening. And if the version mapping is failed, it will be throwing another snapshot error. And again, you can sync the snapshot once again by using the AD utility. In that AD utility, you will have one option called update the snapshot. Okay, there will be one option. So if you choose that option, again it will read read the operating system files and its versions, and it will be dumped into the database table like AD underscore snapshot files, AD underscore snapshot, but this information. All right, prompts. It will be asking some prompts, and I'll be showing you what are the prompts and what are the answers we'll be giving. So interactive mode, non-interactive mode, we have already discussed. Okay. So the parallel execution also. So parallel execution part, as I said, there is an utility called, there is a table called FND install process table. Okay, and also there is a one more table, AD deferred job, AD underscore deferred underscore job. Okay, so if you see now, if I go to the table, select a T name from tab, where you won't be seeing FND install process table won't be, you won't be seeing. Okay, so when you execute any of the AD utility. Then, as part of that activity, first the table will be created, the number of the jobs will be assigned to the workers, and keep on update the table with the job status under the worker status under. Once everything is done, the table will be dropped. So that we will be seeing. Okay, so the same command, if you execute, when you are executing AD utility, you would be finding one result, one row. That is FNE install underscore process. Okay, so workers. So these workers, number of workers we have to give at the time of execution, and the workers will be executing the utility parallel, as I said. So deferred job. There is another table called AD underscore deferred underscore job. So that table also is a transparent table which will be created at the time of initiating the utility and dropping at the time of finishing the utility. Okay, so database processing, these workers will be deciding, like, whether the workers knows, like, where to execute that utility, the database side or application side. And okay, so you would be seeing like this. There are so and so jobs pending. Okay, so 4 running, 42 ready. Okay, so here itself, worker 2 doing this one's information, worker 3 again, worker 2 assigned, worker 2 completed, next assigned, something like that it would be. And since 1627, 217 jobs are pending, it must be a big activity, and it will continue till it finish. It takes little time. So as I said, distributed Apple top. Okay, so this distributed Apple top where you can share your workers and all to the multiple environments, e-business environments only. Okay, so don't worry, just if you understand the concept, that's more than enough. So log file, if you don't specify, okay, so it would be asking log file like this. Okay, log file name. This also. Okay, so here you can give AD admin. Okay, so if you don't give anything in bracket, whatever it is there, that will go as a default. So if you don't provide anything, AD admin.log will be created, and if that particular location is already having AD admin.log, it won't be prompting you. Without prompting you, it will overwrite the file. Okay, so make sure that maybe if your previous log file is important for you to do some troubleshooting or whatever, then please take a backup of that one and go ahead, or give some different name, today date with AD admin underscore today date dot log, something like that you can give. Okay, the workers and all any base business apps log admin location. Okay. Hmm? Log edit. It copy edit. Create will not create it. All right. Okay, I'll show you once I execute. Restart files has explained you already. Okay, so even any of the worker file, it will come like the AD file, so and so, so and so, and you would be going to the log file, you would be verifying. Okay, so the more details you would be getting along with this particular information. Failed. Okay, so that's what, and now from next onwards, the AD utility features will be coming. Now let us see how to execute the AD utility. Okay, what are the parameters it would be asking? Okay, so that information would be seen. Let's say AD admin only. So I'm here somewhere. I'm executing AD admin. So initially, it will be asking defaults file. Okay, defaults directory. Is this right tabletop or not? If you source your right environment, yes, you prompt to the right tabletop. Okay, so this is your right tabletop. You can check it out. Okay, so in the other window. Oops. Okay. Same thing you would be seeing here. Same thing. All right. So you'll say yes. So AD admin log. Okay, I'll say AD admin underscore today date is 26. You let that log. Okay. So next email feature. So it will be asking, do you want to enable the email feature or not? By default, it is no, and you would be going with no only. But the feature is for just a minute. Just a minute, please. Sorry. Yeah, this email notification mainly, if you enable the email notification, and if you provide normally the alerts and all you would be providing, right? So if somewhere this utility is executing, whenever it come across any issue, it will throw in an email and saying that area administration utility failed with so and so or something like that. It will fail. It will send the information. Okay, so by default, it is no and would be going with the no only, and someone has to monitor if any activity is performing, even if it is a 24 hours activity or 48 hours activity. On a shift basis, people will be monitoring. That is the criticality of your AD utilities activity. Okay, so that is the reason we always say no. And if it is really required, you can if you are working on the server side, you enable a VNC session, execute it, and share the VNC session to your teammates, and from work from home or somewhere it will be they'll be verified. Okay, so number of batch sizes, 1,000 is the default size, and this is basically, if you are performing any of the database activity, every 1,000 transactions perform commit. Okay, so by default is 1,000, and we always go with the 1,000. If you want, if you feel like it's a huge database activity is going on with this utility, yes, you can increase it, and that recommendation should come from the Oracle better. Okay, so unless Oracle asks me to execute with a different number, I always go with the 1,000. Okay, again, it will be asking, is it your right Oracle home or not? And you can check it out the same way. 1012 and come on, hey, come on, 1012. So if your listener is down by any chance, okay, you can't continue. All right. So here the verification, the database verification will be happened. Okay. So when you say system, okay, let's say I'll come to database, right? CT start. prod. Okay, so yeah, so if I say manager is the default one, it will throw an error. Okay, so no listener will get unable to connect. So he will connect and check it out whether you're able to execute or not. Okay, so in this case again we'll go back. No, CTL start prod. Come, come. All right. Now you provide manager. No, it would be asking apps password. Okay. So basically, it would be connecting to the AppleSys, and here AppleSys is another user, and the app's password and AppleSys password both will be same. So if you want to connect to the AppleSys, you can use the app's password and connect, and you never connect to the AppleSys because whatever activity need to be performed on AppleSys, that would be connecting to the apps, and then it will be performing. Okay. So if you give the wrong password again, it will throw an error. Okay, invalid password. Log on, username and password denied, something like that. Apps password is apps. All right. This is the menu basically you would be seeing, and from tomorrow onwards, we'll be discussing about the same thing like generate application files, generate application file. If you choose one, you would be seeing more. Okay, generate message files, form file, report file, product jar files. Go back, second option. There would be some more options for linking the application, copy, convert, maintain snapshot. Just now I told you. So if you choose fourth option again you may find other options, list snapshot, blah blah blah. Okay, and compile or reload. Okay, so if you see third, compile app schema, compile menu, flex fill, jar files, you can do this. Fourth option, maintenance, enable maintenance mode. Disable. Okay, this is and fifth exit. Okay, fourth maintain application. Okay, maintenance mode deleted. Right. All right. Okay. So if you choose the fourth option, is the validate app schema, maintain multilingual table, check GL table, return to main menu, something like that. Okay. So for example, okay, I don't link into that. Okay. So I'll explain you again. Okay. Just for your example, for your information, I'm executing. It's a validate app schema. Okay. So it will be creating the list. Okay. Uh, Invalid information valid would be creating. So I'll say exit, exit. So this is the place you would be getting your log. See here, see AD worker 1, 2, 3, AD admin today file, 26th July file. Okay, in this location you will be seeing your utility AD admin.log previous execution workers. 7 workers I have given in the previous execution. So for each worker, AD worker 001, 002, 003, it depends on the number of workers we have used. So that's how it will be. Okay. So the ID controller is also same. ADCTR, another one which will take care of your workers and its workers information. So again, it will be asking write Apple top or not. ADCTRL underscore 26. That long. Again, it will be asking apps password and see show worker. These are the options you would be seeing. Okay, so show worker. Tell worker to restart a failed job. Tell worker to quit. Tell manager that a worker failed his job. Tell manager that a worker acknowledged to quit. I'll explain you each and every one. Okay. Restart a worker that on your current machine, and there will be one hidden option which is eighth option. Okay. So I don't know why Oracle has done like that. So there is another option called eight. If you give eight, it will prompt something. Okay, which is the ignore worker. Okay, so I'll keep it here and I'll write it here. Green. Okay, I'll explain you anyway. When you are executing the AD utility, when we were discussing about AD utility, I'll again discuss about the AD controller as well, and I'll explain you. Okay, so this is how this will be there, and if you select one, it will throw an error definitely because there is no append install process table basically. Okay, error append install process table doesn't exist. Why? Because none of the AD utility running right. If you initiate in another window, if you initiate any of the AD utility like AD admin regenerating the form, something like that, so at that point of time, it will be creating the append install process table. In the parallel, if you execute this, it will read the job information, worker information from this particular table, and it will provide the status. Okay, now you will see this error. Just for your information, I'm copying here. Just make a note of it. Keep it. This error you will be seeing. So if you want to execute AD controller, one of the AD utility need to be in progress. Then only you can execute AD controller. Otherwise, there is no use. Okay, so I'll also just for your reference, quick reference, I'll also put AD admin options, all options. Option one. Option two. No. Option one. Option two. Option three. Option four. Okay. So when you return, it will come back, and when you return, it will choose. Just for your information, I'm providing, so it contains log file information as well. Alright. Okay, and also I'll keep till the prompts. Not everything till prompts. I'll keep for people. Yeah. Okay, this is enough. Five, next five. 5 and 5, you will be getting where to control the utility. It is. Alright. So tomorrow onwards, we'll be discussing about what are the utility, I mean the options, and how do we execute that option. So you won't be testing each and every option. It's a huge basically. You don't be testing each and every option. The options which I use regularly, those options I would be showing you as a practice, I mean as a demo. And the other options you can even try. Okay, you can just try it out and see. Nothing wrong with that. You know, it won't harm also. By any chance, if it goes far, probably we may need to go for reinstallation. Okay, and this AD utility is more. I mean, all the AD utilities is something similar to our previous versions and this version. Okay, 11.1 also the same utility, same. There is 11.1. There is an extra feature called the enable maintenance mode and disable maintenance mode, which is not there here. So that I'll explain you, like what is the enable maintenance mode, what is disable maintenance mode. I'll explain you, and for what purpose you would be using, and I'll explain you. That's totally belongs to the patching. Since the patching process completely changed, they removed that and they have come up with a different concept. That's it. All right, but in the previous versions, when you are going with the patching and all, it's mandatory to enable maintenance mode, apply the patch, disable the maintenance mode, and start the services like that. But here, that option is not there, and it's not required, to be honest. Okay. So to minimize the downtime, that time they have come up with that concept, and here they have come with for the same minimizing the downtime, they have come up with a different concept. That is the reason they ignore it. All right. So yep, let's continue tomorrow about this. Okay. So I'll upload this note file and the other things. All right. So any doubts? Any doubts? If none, okay, let's call up this call and see you tomorrow on the same time, right? Thank you. Bye and have a nice day.